Lana Del Rey and her Southern husband, part 2. Now, you guys, I have a part 1 to this dissecting of Lana Del Rey and her husband. This video gained a lot of traction on my TikTok channel, and people really find this relationship to be fascinating. Of course, because Lana Del Rey is Lana Del Rey, and she is a mega pop star and celebrity, and people care about celebrity relationships here in the Western world. And might I say, I find this relationship to be utterly fascinating and so close to my heart, but not for the reasons of modern day celebrity worship, but actually for the reasons because this relationship, it hits very close to home, because she is now a Louisiana girl, lives here in Louisiana in the South, has kind of transitioned her life out of Hollywood, you know, celebrity pop culture, and into this more reserved, conservative, modest lifestyle in the South, with a very family-oriented kind of guy, and even got married to him on a swamp, right? So it's just a very fascinating relationship, the contrast of them, but you know, the fact that these kinds of men are the men that I grew up around. I grew up around these exact types of men, these hunting, fishing, you know, four-wheeler riding, these kind of swamp guys, and I will never get over the fascination of their relationship together and just the beauty that they are. So let's go ahead and get into the part 2 of this, breaking down some more of the things about their relationship, and ultimately telling you the things that Lana Del Rey did right, what she got so right in this relationship and choosing her life partner, okay? And it is all pertaining to my content, and that's another reason why I love her so much, because she is such a class act. She is such a class act, and to be honest, I really feel as though, you know, she kind of went ghost for a little while there, and then all of a sudden she came back in the spotlight and started writing music again. But I think during that time of her going ghost, and you know, not really doing anything in the celebrity world and music career, I think she had a little healing era. I think she went through this transition, this kind of caterpillar to butterfly transition, where she kind of just broke out of her shell and realized a lot of things that were so much deeper that mattered to her in her life, and how she kind of just wanted to put it to rest and step out of the spotlight and just live more reserved and conservatively, while also, you know, still pursuing her dreams of writing music and performing, and you know, just being a singer and songwriter. And so, you know, during that healing era, she clearly, you know, I think she really grew in a deeper relationship with God. She grew, you know, in her spirituality, and she's obviously very conservative now. You know, it's very clear she is conservative, and I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy for that, because she's just so authentic and genuine, and she really doesn't give two craps about what people think about her and the media, you know, and what they say about her. And she lives a very overall modest, private life with her now husband. So acknowledging the fact that I think she really went through this healing era. She is clearly more now embodied in this housewife era, and she really gives off that housewife energy, and she even dresses like a housewife, and I'm just so here for it. You know, I'm just so here for it, because it really resonates so much with me. And of course, even more now, like as she has matured, it really kind of correlates because of that aspect, and the, you know, living down here in the South. So going through that healing era, you know, she met her now husband, and one thing to acknowledge that she really did right with this relationship is that she married an older man, and you guys, I'm always encouraging you ladies to date older guys, marry within a healthy age gap, and stop dating these effeminate, young, weak boys, okay? So she has kind of always been into men that were older than her, as far as from what I know. And her husband now is 10 years older than her, and the contrast of them alone is just, it is so attractive to me. It is so incredibly attractive to me. She is just this soft, dainty, beautiful, you know, slow-moving, gracious, feminine woman. She carries the energy of it. She carries herself so softly and delicately. She wears, you know, she looks the part. She wears these soft, feminine, housewifey dresses. And she just looks so young, youthful, and beautiful. And then the contrast, you know, of her man, her now husband, who is a little bit scruffy, you know, he looks like he's been through the mud, he's lived a little bit more life than her, he has that dark skin, you know, very muscular, cut, structured body and face, and he just looks a little rough around the edges. And it's just a beautiful polarity that they have created there. Just the aesthetics of them alone. And this is what we talk about on this channel, because the masculine and feminine polarity there at play is just so magnetic and so electrifying, and just creates this gorgeous, beautiful, delicious relationship and attraction. But onto, you know, just because, like, I talk a lot about, you know, why men, you know, are, you know, why men prefer to be the older, and why they like younger women and stuff like that. But there's a lot of interesting things about their relationship as well, right? Because they have even though they look, you know, even though their energies are kind of more conservative and traditional, they obviously are more modern, because she is this huge mega pop star, A-list celebrity who travels around the world and, you know, sells millions of albums and has so many eyes on her. And he is just like this more modest, family-oriented southern guy who was a nobody basically before she met him. And so it's more traditional in the way that, like, she is probably the breadwinner here, okay? We can't say for sure if, you know, he has more money than her. It would be, you know, wrong to assume that, but it's probably very, very likely that she has more money than him. She is the, you know, breadwinner. She is the more successful one. Ranking in the millions, you know, probably more assets than he has, and clearly a bigger name and more status, right? However, just because she has the mega millions doesn't necessarily mean that she is the provider of their relationship. It's clear that she likes masculine men, and she probably very much values a man who provides, whether, you know, she has her own money or not. And he clearly has a family of his own, which is another very interesting thing. You know, he has a few kids, and he, you know, had, you know, a life of his own, you know, settled down, you know, in a home, you know, a good career, and was just basically living a very average southern lifestyle. And then she came into his life and, you know, just kind of played on that beautiful polarity dance. And so that doesn't mean that just because she is the breadwinner, probably, you know, paying for everything and providing for him. No, I mean, we don't know the ins and outs of their relationship, which is, I think, is a great thing, which we'll get into. But he is, you know, he still carries his provider energy, which is something very alluring and attractive to the female brain, despite however successful and independent that a female may become. And so he probably didn't give that up. He was already living as that for 50 years of his life. And she just found that to be a very attractive quality about him. And so he is very much still someone who is a provider. You know, he's a supporter of her. He is a protector of her. You know, he kind of has actually recently been walking around with her like on tour and stuff, kind of as this extra blanket like of security and protection. You know, obviously like now she has, you know, her army, like her husband is her protector, and she needs like maybe a few less security guards because now she has a protector husband. And I think this is just so beautiful, and I'm never gonna stop saying that because I just love to see it, and I love to see the genuine joy on her face, and I love to see him backstage watching her, cheering her on. It's just kind of a relationship that I've always dreamed about myself, like from being a little girl, like a lady out here living her dreams, you know, doing her thing, and he's just cheering her on and letting her have the spotlight. Like that right there is everything I have ever dreamed about. Thing to really note here is another thing that she did right in this relationship is the fact that she was so private about their relationship. She really did not, she's still very private about her relationship, very private. Now obviously she brings him on tour with her, and you know, she posts pictures of him and just her, you know, her life, like what is important to her on her Instagram, but she is still very much private. And the thing that she did so beautifully was that she literally waited until they were married to put him out there, like to, you know, like very much like post him on her, you know, social media accounts, and you know, bring him with her where she went and like on tour, and like really kind of let everybody know, like go more public about their relationship once they really tied the knot and got married. And that is just so beautiful of her to do, because I am just not, I have always preached this, you know, throughout all of my content, that my ladies, you should never be posting a boyfriend or a fling or a guy you're dating on any of your social media accounts. That is reserved for your husband. I don't believe in women boasting about their boyfriends all over their social media accounts and pretty much taking themselves off of the market publicly for a man that hasn't even claimed them and taken them off the market, okay? So I don't believe in doing any of that and boasting about a relationship that's just, it's not really real, okay? So I love that she did that so well and kind of waited until they were, you know, official, and still keeps things very private and doesn't let her business, you know, all out there to the media, who really just is looking to tear down their relationship. And I actually, she recently kind of released a video, I mean a song about her husband and like about their relationship, and how basically she just does not care about what people think of their relationship, and you know, how they look, and like what brings her happiness. And it's just so much respect for her in that regard as well. He apparently had a long-term relationship, a fiance, for many years, and he apparently never married this woman, right? And what's interesting is that Lana Del Rey comes along, and who knows how long they, you know, had dated prior to getting married, but it was clear that they probably weren't together for very long, and they kind of tied the knot very quickly, very unexpectedly, and just kind of did something, like she just did something that nobody really saw coming. And so I thought, like, this is also really relevant to everything that I speak about, because ladies, it just goes to show you that when a woman sets her standards and is clear about what she wants, and you know, where she sees herself, and how she's not going to accept anything less, that's when she really becomes a very high value woman and a valuable asset in a man's eyes. And it goes to show that a man, you know, he will conserve energy when he feels like he's getting very comfortable, and that the woman is not really setting a standard for him that he has to kind of earn and work his way up to. And so obviously, for whatever reason, he was not married to his previous lady, and it was years upon years, and maybe she, who knows, maybe this old fiance was chasing him down for marriage, and maybe she, you know, maybe he wasn't totally head over heels in love with her and wanting to like lock her down. But Lana Del Rey comes along, and you know, she is this very valuable woman, and just this gorgeous, radiating, obviously very embodied in her feminine energy kind of woman, and he locks her down very quickly. And you know, even though they have like no kids together and live very, very different contrasting lifestyles. So mentioning, I saw some podcaster, like when they first got married to each other, and she was just being really negative, and she made a video on YouTube, and she was kind of just being overall negative about their relationship. And I remember her questioning, like, is Lana Del Rey going to fall and adapt more into his lifestyle, or is her husband Jeremy going to kind of adapt and fall more into her kind of lifestyle? But here's what I would say to that is, one, she obviously clearly wanted a more reserved, modest, conservative lifestyle, because otherwise she wouldn't have married the guy, and she obviously like wouldn't have moved in with him like here in the South. So that's clearly what she wanted. You know, she wanted to get away from these Hollywood effeminate soy boys who, you know, they know how to type 1,000 words a minute on a computer screen, but they know nothing about the means of survival and how to hunt and kill and, you know, get a little dirty, get their hands rough and dirty and do some physical labor, and, you know, just have basic survival skills. That's something that these Hollywood soy boys are lacking, and that is what she wanted. She wanted herself a masculine man who looks like he knows how to survive in a zombie apocalypse, okay? And the other thing is that if he, like, obviously from what we see of them on the internet, is she obviously kind of drags him with her in her lifestyle and like her performances and her touring and things of that nature, and he just kind of is in the background cheering her on, letting her do her thing. And it seems like they have this very beautiful balance. It seems like they are creating this very beautiful balance, and what a cool experience for him, you know, coming from just living here in the South, you know, being this very family oriented guy who gives alligator tours, and then going on tour with this mega pop star where she's filling stadiums and people are just like, everybody knows her name and playing her music and watching her sing. Like, it's probably a very cool experience for him. And so it seems like they have created this very gorgeous balance of, you know, kind of conservative lifestyle, and then you know, also letting her shine and do her thing, you know, when she needs to do her thing on tour and stuff like that. So you can always, this is the thing about the modern relationship and women waiting until they get older to get married and settle down, is that you can find, like, you can mesh those two lifestyles together and find the balance that really works for you and your partner, without thinking that it's going to just, you know, cause everything to crumble like this crazy podcaster was saying, basically wishing for them to fail. I don't understand how people could ever do this and ever mums those words of, you know, wishing for a marriage and relationship to fail, because I would never wish for those things. And, you know, that's actually kind of prevalent right now in, you know, Hailey Bieber and Justin Bieber's marriage and relationship. And it's really sad to me to see that, because they have a child together, and I just can't even fathom the fact that there are fans out there hoping for their downfall, and you know, wishing that Hailey would leave Justin Bieber, like her husband that she has vowed her life to and had a child with. So anyways, that's getting off of topic here. Kind of things to take from this and what Lana Del Rey did right in choosing her Southern life mate is that she dated age gap, right? Her husband is 10 years older than her. She was very attracted to his life experience, you know, a little bit more than her, and how settled he was in life, and just his strong family values. That was very, very appealing to her inner feminine soul, who just wanted to live more quietly. So that was the first thing that she did right. And then she, you know, waited until she was officially married to him to kind of put him on in the spotlight and, you know, claim that this is her husband, this is her guy, she's in love, she's happy, and like this is her life now. She waited until they were married for, you know, all of that boasting of her husband. She keeps their relationship very, very private, and that she held herself obviously in high regards, and set out a goal to, you know, get married. And, you know, obviously, like, I don't know if they were talking about this prior, but it's clear, like, with how quickly they did get married, that she wanted to get married. And she actually has talked about stuff like this, you know, in her songs, if you pay attention to her lyricism. And, you know, she has sisters that are married and have kids, and so it just makes sense that that's what she wanted. And so she lives a more private lifestyle, you know, with him, and, you know, doesn't put all her junk out there, and that she, you know, she didn't have to settle for being a part of a story where she's just begging and chasing a man down to marry her, and like waiting all of these years and playing the role of girlfriend, which she has done in the past, but yet she just set out to be that wife and show up as that wife, embodied in that wifey energy, and that's exactly what she got. Very interesting for me, especially just because I'm such a huge fan, and I've been a fan of her since literally the beginning of her music career. This is also why it hits so close to home, and because she lives, like, her and her husband live like an hour or so away from me, and that is just mind-blowing to me. But another thing that is like, I'm kind of questioning here is, I really wonder if Lana Del Rey wants to have kids. I mean, he already has kids, so I'm really wondering if he would be willing to give her a kid if that is what she wants, or if she's just gonna kind of be a woman that is childless forever, or, you know, or if she's gonna kind of play more into that stepmom role, or, you know, what's the thing with that. And we are unclear about, you know, what Lana Del Rey, Elizabeth Grant wants as far as children goes. But I will say I've heard in her lyricism, you know, things about husbands and having kids and stuff. So I don't know, it's very interesting, and I will be very, you know, I'm always watching this relationship kind of closely, just to kind of see, like, you know, if she does end up having kids, and like if he's willing to have another baby. I don't, you know, he's 50 years old, so I don't know. It's just really, really interesting to see, and maybe she just wants to be childless forever, and I think that's cool and great of her to whatever she decides. But it's just overall a beautiful, you know, thing that they have going for them, and, you know, their beautiful life together. I could go on and on about this relationship, as I have so many times now, but I just love it. I just love it. Have I mentioned that I love it? So I'm gonna leave it here, and if you guys have any of your input about this relationship, and, you know, wishing them a beautiful life, and like just being able to see and study as someone like myself who sees and studies the masculine and feminine dynamics, if you notice that and how contrasting their life is, but how beautiful it, like what a beautiful magnetic electrifying energy that it creates. And I think that's why a lot of people are so fascinated by it. So if you have any comments or insight into their relationship, definitely leave a comment down below. Let me know if you guys have any future recommendations for future videos, and I will see you guys in the next video. Love you.